Hello and welcome to the Covert Nerd Podcast. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the time that you give me. Today, if you are a Transformers fan, you will be excited to hear what Tim has to say about all things Transformers, from the comic book to the figures to the cartoon. You name it, Tim is passionate about it. Tim works at the Rainbow Comics store here in Lincoln, and I went down there and recorded with him. So the sound may be a little different. You might hear some noise in the background because we recorded live from the shop. So let's dive right in and nerd it up with Tim about Transformers. Well, I'm here with Tim, the manager at Rainbow Comics here in Lincoln, and I just wanted to interview him and talk about Transformers because when I first met you, Tim, it was kind of funny. I walked in here and then your eyes lit up and you were saying, "Oh, Transformers, that's my favorite," and it was almost like a kid in a candy store. So I wanted to talk to you about Transformers because I grew up with Transformers. You grew up with Transformers, and it's a fun, nerdy medium. Just wanted to talk to you about that, Tim. So tell us a little bit about Transformers, or excuse me, actually, before we get going, since you are the aficionado of Transformers, I came up with some trivia questions that I wanted to ask you. So we'll test your knowledge here a little bit. So the first one, we're going to go travel back in the time machine to the 80s.
Okay.
So in the 80s cartoon, so this is Gen 1, in particular, in that cartoon, by what means do the Decepticons transport goods between Earth and Cybertron?
They use the space bridge.
Yes, there we go. I don't remember that. Was that something the Decepticons built on Earth?
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Strap in, children. This basically it's Cybertronian tech.
Okay.
And the Decepticons, during the Million Year Civil War, whatever, the Decepticons in the original G1 cartoon took over Cybertron.
Yes.
And so the Autobots were taking refuge on Earth looking for Energon because Cybertron was completely out, and Energon is their fuel and food. But the Decepticons had control over the terminals, like the flight terminals, basically on Cybertron. So Shockwave was in charge of all that stuff. So anytime the Autobots had to go to Cybertron for anything, they would have to break into the space bridge, and they would go up to basically through a Decepticon checkpoint, and then there's a couple of really good episodes that circle around that. So.
Okay. All right. Well, 1 for 1.
Cool. I'll take it.
All right. For the win. Okay, the Constructicons. Now, this is an easy one.
Sure.
Constructicons merged to become what powerful giant robot?
Devastator.
Yeah, I was thinking you're going to know that before you...
I have like the 2 feet tall
you do?
Devastator. I was talking to Taylor, the other employee here, and she was like, "Can you bring that in so I can see it?" It's really cool.
Is that? I assume that's an advanced level.
It's
Transformer,
and it cost me a little bit of money. It was super good though. I love it.
Is that an original or Gen 1, Gen 2, or which generation?
It's from Hasbro's Combiner Wars line. So it came out, I want to say 3-4 years ago.
Okay, so it's fairly new.
Oh, not even. Wow. Yeah, about 2 to 3 years ago. Yeah, it's newish, but really new. It's got 6 different Voyager class figures, which are the medium size. So you have Legends are the small, Voyager the medium, and Leader are the bigger ones.
Okay.
And it's got 6 of the medium ones, where usually with the combiners, like the body part is a Voyager, and then the smaller ones are the limbs. So this one is literally way bigger, and it's super cool.
Now we're going to switch to Beast Wars.
All right, Beast Wars I'm a little bit less good on.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Okay, one of the largest Beast Wars in the series transformed from its beast mode, the Gorilla, and featured numerous weapons and missiles. What's the name of that character?
Is that Optimal Optimus?
I found out it was Night Slash.
Night Slash. I don't know that one.
Yeah.
No, sorry, guys.
Okay. That's all right. Here's one you'll probably know. Okay. Cybertron has 2 moons. What are the names of the moons?
Oh, nuts. Cymoon 1 and Cymoon 2?
I have Luna 1 and Luna 2, or Moonbase 1 or Moonbase 2. I suppose it depends on which iteration.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a Cymoon, but I might be pulling that from something else. So it's fine.
Okay.
I'll take the hit on that.
That's all right. Last one. So we're looking at the Michael Bay first Transformers movie.
Gotcha.
That's what this question will be from. He put on the website that he would allow fans to suggest dialogue for the movie.
Oh, I was really irritated when that happened.
Okay. Did you submit any?
Yes.
You did? Okay. Well, he put one line in there. Do you remember what line from the fans that he put in there? It was said by Optimus.
So, because I remember a lot of the submissions, and I know that they had like the staples, the one shall stand, one shall fall. They had the, I want to say my bad is what it was when he said my bad, but I don't remember.
Well, the one I got from the website was freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
That was the other thing. He was gonna say it. That's such a cop out. Like, the fans picked. No, it was in the script. He was gonna say it.
Well,
I'll double down on that.
Fun fact that it actually, Optimus never said it on any previous iterations, but it was on the back of his toy packaging in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So some fan probably took it from the back and submitted it. And
and it's a thing that since G1, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of my Transformers love comes from more of the IDW comics, but it's a thing that Prime has said, regardless of if it was on screen or not. That's like one of the catchphrases he's known for in different mediums.
Yes.
And it's just one of those lines where like everybody knew he was going to say it, and it's just like, fans didn't pick that, the screenwriters did.
The screenwriters and pretended like they did. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, good job, Tim.
Thank you. I think I got a C.
Yeah. Hey, it's passing.
Hey, I earned it. I earned it real good.
That's right. Well, I wanted to touch base with you on the Transformers in general and ask you what got you into Transformers originally, and what is it that really caught your eye?
Well, I was born in 1982, which is around the time Transformers came to America. Actually, they existed as different toy lines in Japan. Hasbro brought them together, so technically they came out in 80. I think it's 82, 81, 82.
I think so.
And so growing up in the 80s, you get Transformers. So like I have a whole bunch that I can now put names to that I never knew. The first Optimus I got was like the Power Armor Optimus Prime, which is not the one you want when you're a kid.
Okay.
But it worked out. I was happy to have an Optimus Prime. I watched a lot of cartoons in the 80s.
Okay.
So I fell in love with that.
So the Transformers cartoon is what you first...
My first entry into it, yeah. Had VHS tapes and kind of fell in love with it that way. And then it turned into a thing that I remember liking, like Masters of the Universe, Silverhawks, things like that.
Okay,
all those 80s cartoons. It kind of fell into that category of stuff I liked when I was a kid, but still had a fondness for it. And when Michael Bay's movie came out, I was like, oh, this is cool. There's Transformers. It's not exactly what I wanted, but we have Transformers and it's great. What got me into comics currently, there we go, Freudian slip. What got me into Transformers currently is the recently finished IDW series.
Okay.
And we can go into that if you want. Or
when did that start, IDW? Do you remember?
I want to say it was about 13 years ago.
Okay.
I have a cheat sheet in front of me.
So you kind of, I guess, to summary, it caught your eye when you were a kid. Mm-hmm. And then the movie came out, and then the comics came out, and you kind of fell back in love with it again, so to speak.
I did. It was kind of a nostalgia. Oh, it was 2005.
2005. Okay.
The year 2005.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, from the movie.
It was nostalgia glasses that brought me back to Transformers, but it was the legitimate quality of the storytelling that kept me in.
Okay. So it's nostalgia that caught your eye, but the quality that kept you in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And so your first Transformer was Optimus then?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Right? Yeah. Okay. That you owned.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and say that.
Okay.
That sounds
well, who's your favorite Transformer? Bar none.
I have a couple different answers, but my default answer will be Ultra Magnus.
Okay.
Ultra Magnus is the easiest one to go with.
Explain for the listener who may not know, Ultra Magnus, maybe the 2-minute summary of Ultra Magnus.
Summary. All right. Well, okay.
3-minute.
Well, there we go. Ultra Magnus, more or less, the version of Ultra Magnus that I love is from the IDW comics, clearly, and he is kind of the internal affairs officer. He's very by the book. He has no sense of humor, and people respect him, but they also are just like, oh man, he's kind of like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, yeah.
Except he's not like a ruffian. He's very like strict and by the book, but he doesn't abide silliness.
Okay.
And he's kind of like the Fonz, where like Fonzie in Happy Days couldn't say
love or something like
wrong.
that.
He couldn't say wrong.
That's
couldn't
right.
say he was wrong.
Yeah.
Ultra Magnus can't do that with fun. He can't say the word
Can't
fun.
say the word. Can't say the F word.
Yeah, exactly. The three letter F word that we all loathe. No, but Ultra Magnus, there's something about him that's really stuck up, and it's fun to read him and see everybody else's reactions to him. But through my favorite of the Transformers series, you see that shell kind of break down and who Ultra Magnus is, and why he feels like he needs to be the one who can't have fun, and why he has to stick to the rules. Then that allows other people to enjoy the things that he's incapable of enjoying.
Okay.
And I found it incredibly endearing, and I absolutely love him. And I'm pretty sure I'm past 3 minutes.
No, so he's the guy that he thinks he has to do the job because nobody else will do it. Would that be somewhat accurate?
Yeah, that's more or less correct.
Okay. And when did was he a Gen 1 or Gen 2? Do you remember?
He's Gen 1.
Is he?
He was introduced in the Scramble City Japanese commercials, that kind of introduced Hot Rod, Cup, Ultra Magnus. But the first time American audiences ever saw him was in the animated movie, and he was voiced by Unsolved Mysteries guy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I can't think of his name. I've completely lost it. But the guy who did Unsolved Mysteries did Ultra Magnus's voice.
I love that movie. Did you go to the movie, or did you watch it on VHS, or did you go to it?
I grew up with it on VHS. I never did see it in theaters when I was a kid. I did see it earlier last year in theaters. They updated the poster.
Okay.
And the poster was done by an artist named Livio Ramondelli. And he actually has done a lot of Transformers comics. And I actually, here at Rainbow, I have an image I commissioned from him of Ultra Magnus.
Okay.
And it's right behind the counter. And it makes me happy every time I look.
I'll get a picture of that. We can put it in the show notes.
Oh, thank you. That'd be great.
Did you cry when Optimus died when you were a kid?
I don't remember. I know it affected me, but I don't think I ever had... I never was of the impression that he was real.
Okay.
So, I kind of had that separation. And all I know is that when I was a kid, when the original Transformers were gone, I lost interest.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I find interesting now is my favorite characters, Ultra Magnus, Springer, Hot Rod. They're everybody who was introduced in that movie.
Yeah.
And so now I actually kind of look forward to getting to the back half of the movie.
Okay.
They all got killed like chumps, too.
I know. That whole movie, when I saw it when I was a kid, I was like, they are just killing off the old guys right and left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Spike gets away with saying the S word.
They had to make it more edgy. I think, maybe wasn't it supposed to be more hardcore rated than it was? No. They toned it up. I can't remember.
They made exactly what they wanted to make.
Okay.
And they had conversations. When I say they, I mean the producers. You pay me money, I couldn't tell you. I know Flint Dilley was one of the writers. He might have been a producer also. But they said, since we're going to make a feature, since it's going to be PG, because we want to appeal to more people, we want to make it a little bit more intense. We're going to go ahead and throw in the S word. We're going to go ahead and allow this to have stakes. But they didn't count on the people, like the kids, who, like you and I kind of grew up. They say now the internet is raising kids. You and I kind of grew up in an era where you wake up on Saturday mornings and you go and watch cartoons, and those cartoons were the guideposts. So when Optimus was killed, because they even had they had commercials that would air on Saturday mornings that showed off the movie, and you're like, does Prime die? And like, oh. Yeah. Maybe. Nah, they're never going to kill him. Then they killed him.
They killed him, I know.
They replaced him with Hot Rod. Who's ever heard of Hot Rod?
Yeah, this guy just shows up. For you, as a listener, if you don't know what we're talking about about the 1986 or 86 Transformers movie that they came out with. And yeah, that whole movie was just a shocker when they killed off a bunch of characters, and it was a springboard for kind of the Gen 2, Gen 3, I think.
No, it's still considered G1.
Oh, is it still? Okay.
The end of G1 was the end of the original cartoon.
Okay.
But it did introduce the new, 86, 87 toy line, which the only bot it included from the original line was Bumblebee.
Okay.
Who lived in the movie.
Yes.
And Ultra Magnus, sorry, this is going to happen. Ultra Magnus, when he was released, that toy was a white recolor of Optimus. So his because he had a trailer.
Yes.
His trailer was a different retool that could be turned into a suit of armor. That made him look more like the cartoon version, but the toy itself, the core of the toy was a white cap that matched Optimus Prime. If you put them next to each other, they're the same.
Really?
It's just Ultra Magnus is white with a blue face, whereas Optimus Prime was red with a dark blue face and a silver face plate.
So the mold is basically the same?
It's identical.
They did that in Masters Universe, as you know. The arms and the body, all the cores were almost all identical.
Oh, for sure.
And they just recolored them. So they did the same thing.
Yeah, and
in that case anyway.
Hasbro's actually kept that tradition up too. With the Combiner Wars lines, the reason I have so few of them is a lot of them are literally the same toy with just slightly different colors.
Okay.
They've actually kind of homaged that a little bit in the new Siege toys. So I have at the counter at work right now, I have the new Optimus Prime and the new Ultra Magnus, and they've gone out of their way to make them look the same, but really the only thing that's the same is the head. But it's really cool. They transform completely different. They do their best to try to make them look similar to try to get that old style look. And they've even incorporated that in some of the other continuities for Transformers, where they've made Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime like brothers and even combiners in some fashions. Not my beloved IDW, but you know.
There's a special place for them.
Oh, for sure.
What's the hardest Transformer to transform that you run into?
It varies. The new one, I guess, is the answer.
Okay.
When I first get them, they're difficult. They're very challenging. And I do use instructions, but those instructions are just pictures.
Okay.
So sometimes I have to go onto YouTube, see how other people do them. I just recently bought the Studio Series Jazz. So it's Jazz from the original Michael Bay movie. And the instructions skip a step.
Oh, really?
And so when I was transforming him, I was like, this is not correct. And I've done everything I could possibly do. I was asking friends to take a look and see what they had.
Okay.
And it took the better part of a day. I went online and had to watch. They're like, oh, this isn't in the instructions, but you clip this piece up on his back and then everything falls into place. But now once all of them, regardless of difficulty level, once you do them 1 or 2 times, 2 to 3 times, sometimes it takes 5 times, you get to the point where it's just muscle memory.
Sure.
But I do have a Thundercracker, a Studio Series Thundercracker at home that I cannot put back in jet mode.
Oh.
I can't remember it, and I cannot find his instructions. And online, all I can find are people putting him in his robot mode. So for a little bit, Thundercracker's stuck in his bot mode. I'll fix it.
It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube almost.
It really is. You get a really cool robot, you get a really cool vehicle, and in the middle, you get a really cool puzzle. So
a good point. Just thought of something. You were talking about Optimus.
Sure. And
in the cartoon, you always see Optimus transform into his robot form, and the trailer disappears.
Yeah.
Where does the trailer go?
There are different answers. It's kind of the same answer for why in the original cartoon Megatron changes size.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And it has to do with it's really, really non-answers.
Yeah.
But it's
I always thought it was funny. You transform and then it leaves. But
you've seen Cinderella, right?
Yeah.
The Disney cartoon. So you know when the fairy godmother pulls her wand out of nowhere, it's in like a pocket dimension.
There you go.
That's where his trailer goes. It's a really poor answer.
I know, it's funny.
The answer, the real answer is they just couldn't afford to animate absolutely everything. But
exactly.
Yeah, no, it goes into some weird pocket dimension. The same thing with Megatron. Megatron has the ability to change his size.
Because all of a sudden he's the same size as Starscream, but when he transforms, Starscream can hold him as a gun.
Yeah.
And I think on the toy, it becomes a kind of a battle station. Because I think there's some guns in there.
For Megatron?
No, for Optimus.
Oh, for Optimus. Yeah. For Optimus.
Command station or something.
Yeah, it becomes a battle station or a repair bay and some other really cool stuff. But yeah, it's they actually with the new Walmart's been doing these G1 re-releases that are basically the original molds. They just released, I think it's like $50, an Optimus Prime, but he doesn't even come with a trailer.
Really?
Yeah. Which, I want the trailer.
If you're going to do a re-release, you probably need to do the trailer.
But then also it would end up costing more, and you can move more units at a lower price.
Well, okay, there you go.
Sorry. Is this
That's how the sausage
This is a business podcast, right?
No. It's all fun. Well, the story arc, you talked about IDW, so you probably have a favorite story arc. I guess tell us a little bit about that and who, I assume it's from IDW, your favorite story arc.
Yeah, okay. So let's say about halfway through the run of IDW's 13-year run, they ended up ending the war between the Autobots and Decepticons.
Okay.
Which was cool. So the focus of the comics for the back half of the IDW run was post-war Cybertron.
Okay.
Just setting the scene is going to take me a minute.
So they're at peace level time here.
They're not at peace, but the conflict is over.
Okay.
At that point, Optimus Prime steps down from being Optimus Prime, and he goes back to his pre-war identity as Orion Pax.
Yes.
Because he's been the paragon of war and is a symbol of conflict, and he doesn't want to be that anymore. So he leaves Cybertron, the Matrix of Leadership, which was established in the original 80s movie, and that's the leader of the Autobots has this thing. It got split in half.
Oh.
And so in order to symbolize moving forward, he gave one half to Bumblebee, who's de facto leader of Cybertron at the moment, and he gave the other half to Hot Rod, who is now called Rodimus.
Rodimus, yeah.
In the comics. He's not Rodimus Prime.
Oh, okay.
He's just Rodimus.
I'm just going to say it's Rodimus Prime, right?
It's not Rodimus Prime.
Okay.
Because Optimus is the Prime.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting. But so they each have a half of the Matrix, and then the comics split. So there were two different comics. I'm so sorry. This is such a long lead in.
No, go ahead.
But so there was a Transformers book called Transformers Robots in Disguise, and that was about the post-war politics on Cybertron. Not my favorite. My favorite was Transformers More Than Meets the Eye. You get it? More Than Meets the Eye, Robots in Disguise. It's like the old theme song.
Awesome.
But More Than Meets the Eye was Rodimus getting a crew together to leave Cybertron and go find the Knights of Cybertron, which are these fabled keepers of the peace who will, if you can find these old, basically Transformers gods, they'll have all the answers and will be great. So he gets a crew of about 250 bots together.
Oh, wow.
And his second in command is Ultra Magnus.
Okay.
And so More Than Meets the Eye turned into this grand sci-fi epic. And then along the way, I'm skipping a whole bunch of junk.
That's fine.
A bunch of junk. It was so good.
You have to read it.
It's so good. Super excited. I'm like shaking right now. Halfway through the run of More Than Meets the Eye, there's this giant crossover called Dark Cybertron. And Dark Cybertron is possibly the greatest sci-fi comic I've ever read in my life.
Oh, wow.
You find out that Shockwave, who was in the G1 cartoon, he had a giant eyeball that would glow, and he turned into a big purple gun. He's a mad scientist, criminal mastermind.
Okay.
And he brings about this prophecy called Dark Cybertron, where bad things happen. Let's just put it that way. Throughout the course of all of this stuff, Bumblebee sacrifices himself. Bumblebee sacrifices himself to save Megatron.
So Megatron's still alive here.
Megatron's still alive. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Post-war, everything. Megatron's still alive. He's kind of ruffling feathers, but he's nothing compared to Shockwave.
Okay.
But Bumblebee sacrifices himself for Megatron. Bumblebee's completely dead, and it throws Megatron off because he's never come into contact with this before. And so he's got Bumblebee's literal corpse at his feet, and he just can't even process what's happening. He reaches down, tears off Bumblebee's Autobot symbol, slaps it on his chest, and he's like, "Hold on, Prime."
Whoa.
And he teams up with Optimus, and they take out Shockwave together. From this point until the very spoilers.
That's fine. Yeah, spoilers are coming, guys. I should have warned you ahead of time.
From this point until the very end of the IDW series, which just ended a couple months ago, Megatron stayed an Autobot all the way through. And he ended up being co-captain of Rodimus's ship. So it's the hierarchy on the ship is Rodimus and Megatron are equals. Second in command is Ultra Magnus. Third in command is Drift. And it's like this really crazy thing. And at one point, Megatron shows up and he looks at Ultra Magnus, and he and Ultra Magnus almost become like best friends. It's so nuts. But he sits down with Rodimus and Megatron, and he's like, "I know you guys are probably like treating my food and making me want to be like this benevolent guy. Don't stop. I like who I am now. Do not don't quit doing what we're doing. I like who I am. And then he leaves, and Rodimus is like, are we doing stuff to his food?
Yeah,
and Ultra Magnus is like, I haven't done anything.
I haven't done anything. Have you done anything?
Long story long, Megatron ends up in some other world, like some other dimension where time works differently. He's over there for hundreds of years, liberating billions of planets. And so by the time he comes back, technically he's redeemed himself, but at the very end of the Transformers comics, they did a whole thing called Unicron. I could go on about Unicron. I love me some Unicron.
Yeah, okay.
But at the very end, he's sitting with Rodimus and Ultra Magnus, and he's like, look, I'm about to go on trial for everything I've ever done, and I'm either going to be put to death or I'm going to have life in prison. And their form of life in prison is having their spark, which is basically their heart, taken out of their body, put into like a little case, put in a protective seal, and launched into a sun.
Whoa.
So it's basically death.
Death, yeah.
But Rodimus is like, all right, we're going to do everything we can. I'm going to talk to all of our legal experts. We're going to talk to everybody we possibly can to see what we can do to get you a lesser sentence or get out of it. And Megatron stops him, and he's like, no, because whatever I get, I deserve worse, and you just need to let it happen. And you never find out.
So they leave it hanging.
They leave it hanging, but it's so perfect. It's so perfect because you've seen Megatron go from exactly what you think of when you think of Megatron,
bad guy,
to being like this benevolent freedom fighter who's standing for his original ideals that started the Decepticon cause in the first place, and it's so satisfying. And so my favorite arc, or my favorite story, is it spans almost 100 issues.
Wow.
And it is the best. Piggybacking off of that, if you don't mind for just a second.
Oh, go ahead.
I will have all of it in the store here starting March. I'll have everything.
Is that going to be trade?
Yep, trade format.
Okay.
Yep, and hardcover. Sorry to pull that out on you.
No.
But if you guys are all curious, I'll have it in the store, and even if you don't want to buy it, come check it out. It's so much fun. And it's some of the best, even if you're not into Transformers. If you're into sci-fi, if you're into comics, if you're into just something completely different, it's so much fun. It's so incredibly good. I get goosebumps when I read it. Like
awesome.
It makes me so happy.
Well, that's what's good about a run like that, in my opinion. It's not, they had a definitive start and a definitive end. It didn't try to drag it out like some other publishers where we got to get 50 years out of this character or more.
Well, and here's what's fun about Transformers. There was a lot of buzz on the internet. People were really upset that it was ending because More Than Meets the Eye got relaunched as Transformers Lost Light. So if I mention Lost Light, it's More Than Meets the Eye. It's all kind of one thing. But Lost Light has been one of the best comics, like not like hyperbole to the side. I read a lot of comics. It's one of the best comics I've read in a while.
Yeah.
It was hands down my favorite comic for a long time, and I read a good chunk of everything that comes out.
Lost Light, right?
Lost Light.
Okay.
Transformers Lost Light.
Okay.
Yeah, More Than Meets the Eye transformed into Lost Light. Same writer all the way through. A lot of the same art teams all the way through as well. One of the best comics I've ever read. I was really bummed out when I found out it was going to end, but if you remember what I said a few minutes ago, we had gone so far from what Transformers at its core is, which is Autobots versus Decepticons. Yeah. And once you've gotten so far off brand, you can only go so far. So on March 13th, I believe it is, IDW is doing a brand new Transformers #1. It's going to be set, as far as I know, it's going to be set on Cybertron. It's erasing everything. It's going to have characters that I know and I love, but maybe Ultra Magnus this time around won't have any connection to the Ultra Magnus I know and love.
Oh.
But that's not to the detriment of the character. It's actually a really exciting time. I got the best Transformers story I've ever read.
Sure.
Right? And it ended so perfectly. And I'm actually super excited to see what this new iteration of it is. And I feel like it's time to do that. The cover of #1 has Optimus Prime as leader of the Autobots, Megatron as the leader of the Decepticons. We're going back to basics. The new Transformers toys that are out, the War for Cybertron Siege toys.
Yeah.
Those are all all the characters in this new comic are based off this new toy line.
Oh.
And Netflix announced this morning, when they were recording this, that they're going to be doing a War for Cybertron animated series.
Really?
And that's going to be based off of the Siege toys that are out, which match the character models for the IDW comics. So it's a really cool time to kind of double down. And if you've been curious about Transformers, or even if you're just like, I don't know, I passively know who these things are, I maybe, check it out.
It sounds like you have lots of options. You've got the comics.
Oh yeah.
And now you're going to have an animated series on Netflix. I didn't know that. They just announced it.
Announced it.
Do you know how many episodes? Like 13 probably?
They haven't. They just announced it today.
Okay.
I know it's from the showrunner who did the Power of the Primes trilogy for Machinima.
Okay.
Because the Machinima
vaguely familiar with that.
Yeah, they did a whole series of short episodes that turned into this massive tie-in to the toys.
Okay.
And IDW had a little bit thematically to do with that stuff.
Okay.
But this new one, it seems like a more concerted effort to. I'm not saying the comics are going to match the cartoon.
No, they rarely do.
They rarely do. But I do feel like this is a concerted effort to be like, if you go to, let's say, Target, or you come here and pick up some of our Transformers toys, the toys that you get are going to match what you see in the cartoon. Okay. They're going to match what's in the comic. They're going to, they're all going to
try to do some uniformity.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think that's super exciting.
No, I love the fact that we do have some of these streaming services that are taking some of these properties. Netflix, for example, did the She-Ra reboot.
Oh my gosh.
I think and then wasn't there Thundercats?
That was on Cartoon Network.
That was on Cartoon. Okay, well, still they're grabbing some of these old properties and pulling those out. Do you know? Speaking of crossovers, Transformers has done several crossovers with other properties. What's your favorite?
There's actually one going on right now from IDW. That's the Transformers from the 80s cartoon are crossing over with the animated Star Trek.
Okay, I think I saw
very
about that.
Specifically. That's still going. What's my favorite? A lot of the crossovers are not good. My favorite one was the one shot that was Mars Attacks.
Oh, I heard of that.
That was really fun. They did a whole IDW did a whole series of Mars Attacks one shots.
Okay.
So they had like Mars Attacks Popeye, Mars Attacks the Ninja Turtles, Mars Attacks Transformers. They had an X-Files Transformers crossover. It wasn't very good.
Oh,
but
that's weird. Okay.
But I absolutely enjoyed. I super loved that crossover. There was also a crossover that IDW did called Infestation. And Infestation, the core story of that was zombies got out. And then from Infestation, when the zombies got out, they went into there was a Transformers 2-issue thing where the Transformers dealt with the zombies getting into their world, and G.I. Joe dealt with the zombies in their world. And then there was all these other weird things, but it turned out that it was very important to the continuity of the IDW Transformers that this outbreak happened.
Okay.
And it actually went from being kind of a fun little cash grab to something that was very integral, and it involved Cup. It was super fun.
So the Transformers could become a zombie?
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I think they had that. Let's see, when Prime came back on the cartoon, they had that episode where there was that infection type thing. I don't think it made him zombie. Well, maybe it did.
It was some kind. Yeah, it was definitely a reanimated thing.
Yeah,
they got a lot of flack for that too, because they brought back Optimus Prime and then immediately killed him again.
Yeah. How many times has Optimus been killed?
So many.
I think they did I read a few issues of the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover.
Which one?
It was I think it was the Marvel.
Okay.
I think it was Marvel, or was it?
There was a comic company. I want to say it was Dreamwave. They did a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover that was ingenious.
Okay.
And it was the Transformers all turned into the Joe's
vehicles,
Jeeps. Yeah, okay. and then Cobra had the jets and all of that stuff. And so you had the Cobra and the Decepticons teaming up with or going against the Joes and the Autobots.
Sure.
And it was visually stunning. The story was fine, but it was really cool. But yeah, they've done a bunch of crossovers.
I just thought that was, when I first saw it, I think when I was a kid, I thought that's kind of a cool idea.
Oh yeah,
cool concept. You've got Snake Eyes sitting on top of Optimus, and then Megatron with Cobra Commander on his shoulder or something like that.
Sure.
And it's just visually, it's like, oh, that's a good idea.
They actually just did, I want to say 2 years ago, IDW did a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. That wasn't, it was kind of an 80s throwback feel. Tom Scioli, I think I just butchered his name. He did that. He's now doing a GoBot series for IDW.
Yeah, I saw that.
But it's super fun. It's got this very 80s throwback feel to it. But he did 12 issues, and then he released issue 13, which was the the adaptation of the movie that was based on the comic. It didn't exist. But when you and I are growing up, I'm sorry to date you like this, man.
No, that's fine.
There were you could go to the comic book store or the grocery store and buy a comic adaptation of a movie that had come out.
Oh yeah.
And it's so fun to read. Like it's his whole 12 issues crammed into 30 pages.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's disconnected and disjointed. It doesn't make any sense. And it's
just like it did in the 80s.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun though. Man, what a great how can something be new and nostalgic at the same time? I don't get it.
Yeah. They're always like these mistakes where they miscolor stuff. They had that problem. Because back then, they were the comics and even the cartoon were more of an afterthought.
Oh, sure.
It was, we're trying to sell toys. By the way, let's do a comic book. And oh, by the way, let's do a cartoon. And ne'er shall the two meet. And we have no idea what we're doing.
Fun fact. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Bob Budiansky wrote the Transformers comic. It was originally supposed to be a 4-issue mini. I'm talking about the Marvel comic back in the 80s.
Yes.
Hasbro was like, well, if you're writing the comic, why don't you go ahead and write the character cards? So with the little bios on the back of the packaging were all written by the guy who was writing the comic.
Okay.
Same thing with G.I. Joe at the time. The guy who was writing the G.I. Joe comics was also writing the character bios on the back of the toys.
Oh, those are the cool. I don't know. When you went to the store, we didn't buy a lot of toys when I was a kid. Maybe you weren't the same way or not, but you could just go and stare at those cards on the back of the Joes and back of the Transformers, and they're awesome.
They have a book that's just the art of Transformers toys.
Okay.
And so it'll have like that mural that was on the back of everything.
Yes.
And then like just all of the character designs that all the art that you'd see on those packages.
Because in those cards, if I remember correctly, you could put this little red cellophane over the back and it told their stats.
You could see their stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Those are fun.
They don't make toys like they used to.
No,
kids these days, man.
They don't know what they're doing. Because they don't have those anymore. I saw in the card.
I'm sure they
should have something like that.
They don't have it for like the newer Transformers runs, no. But I'm almost wondering if those G1 re-releases at Walmart might have them.
They might have those.
I don't know. Now I got to go to Walmart.
Now I gotta go buy something.
Look what you did to me.
Now I got to spend more money. Well, on the Transformers side, they have the new Star Trek versus or Star Trek Transformers crossover. What other? We talked about the G.I. Joe Transformer crossover. Did they do any others? Was there an X-Men Transformer crossover? I can't remember.
Well, I think there was at one point. The one that sticks out in my mind.
What's the oddest one, or just weird?
Well, the worst.
We had the Mars Attack, but
I don't. Well, that was odd, but it was so
cool.
Good.
Yeah,
it was so good. I don't like. I'm not the kind of person who likes to dwell on the things I don't like.
Sure,
but I'm going to talk about something I didn't like. It was Transformers New Avengers crossover.
Oh, okay.
And this came out in the middle of the IDW run. If you pick up the hardcover collected editions, it's actually in there. And it's from a writer I don't know. It's from an artist I don't know. But it just was... If you have somebody who doesn't normally write Transformers and somebody who doesn't normally draw Transformers, sometimes things get lost in translation and they're trying to write an Avengers story, but they're using the Transformers and it just isn't working.
Okay.
And a lot of this stuff was some really cool ideas, and it ultimately just kind of fell flat.
So as an just out of curiosity, how did IDW get a Marvel property?
IDW's relationship with Marvel is very interesting.
Okay.
Right now, and I'm side.
No, this is good. I want to hear this. Yeah.
Right now, there's actually a series. There's a series of books from IDW called Marvel Action, and they have Spider-Man, Avengers, Black Panther's coming out. I want to say a couple others, but these are actually published by IDW. So these are comic books, Marvel books that are published by not Marvel. And the whole idea behind them is they're continuity free. So if you pick up Marvel Action Spider-Man, it's got Peter Parker going to high school with Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales, who are, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and Spider-Gwen. And it has absolutely nothing to do with any version of Spider-Man you've seen or read or heard.
Interesting.
And it's kind of its own thing. And the Spider-Man book is written by Delilah Dawson.
Okay.
Look her up on Instagram, by the way. Delilah Dawson is great, and she's a novelist. She writes a lot of Star Wars stuff, a lot of fantasy stuff. But her husband, his favorite character is Ultra Magnus. And on I know, is she my wife?
No, now you like her.
Like, oh my, no, she's great. But she for his birthday, I think last year, she baked him an Ultra Magnus cake, and it was so. I was like, basically, this has turned into my love for Delilah Dawson.
Yeah.
But no, she's actually written some X-Files comics that we have here in the store. She's writing Marvel Action Spider-Man. She's written Star Wars novels. She's got some Star Wars comics coming out soon. I love Delilah Dawson. So
interesting that Marvel would do that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But they also, like, IDW will put out, like, artist editions.
Okay.
So you can get, like, a Walt Simonson Thor artist edition book that's, like, 2.5 feet tall.
Wow.
Super hardcover, gorgeous prints in the middle, $150 price tag.
Wow.
I think a lot of that comes down to, like, IDW has a pedigree for quality. And I think Marvel at some point, because they tried to do Marvel Select for a while, and it didn't quite work. And IDW has, like, an IDW Limited, and that's actually really cool. And I think Marvel's seeing some success having IDW put out their art books, that now they're like, well, if we have Spider-Man or Avengers come out from IDW, we can divorce it from any connection to anything else we have and still
make some money, still get
reach
some
the Spider-Verse crowd.
There you go. The IDW has bought let me get this straight, has bought the rights for that property from Hasbro for a certain amount of time for Transformers. Sorry, back to Transformers.
For
explain that connection. Sorry.
Explain intellectual property.
Yeah,
law?
well, just how Hasbro and IDW got together, because I know it wasn't always that way.
It wasn't always that way. Well, Hasbro had a really bad run of luck. So Marvel had dropped, because Marvel in the 80s did G.I. Joe and they did Transformers.
Yep.
And that kind of went by the wayside after a while. And then Hasbro doubled down on Devil's Due Publishing, who I believe is still around, but it didn't quite work out with them. They went to Dreamwave, and Dreamwave collapsed underneath them. And I think IDW... And I could be way wrong. If you're from IDW and you're listening, contact me, because I have questions. But the way I understand it is Marvel wasn't interested.
Okay.
And DC wasn't interested. But IDW, for a while, because they're just hitting, I want to say, their 20th anniversary this year.
Okay, yeah. They're publishing company-ish, yeah.
I mean, Boom would probably be newer, but I honestly believe if Boom had been around, they probably would have scraped up the rights to Transformers, because that feels like their wheelhouse.
Yeah, they have a lot of those.
But I believe IDW needed something to put them on the map outside of, I want to say 30 Days of Night might have been their only real success up until that point.
They did some Godzilla stuff way back.
Yeah, too, for sure. But They did get the rights. And what's interesting is, for a long time in comics that were based on existing properties weren't selling. They had kind of had a stigma attached to them.
They did.
And what IDW managed to do through not just Transformers, but their G.I. Joe comics, was to change the stigma that was attached to publishing an existing property that wasn't necessarily known for.
They were kind of the second class.
Exactly.
Properties.
It's like when you buy a video game based on a movie, you're like, oh, this is going to be terrible. And that's kind of why I hesitated to read for a long time, specifically G.I. Joe and Transformers. But IDW went and took the idea of what something like that could be. And to a certain extent, Dark Horse was doing that with, like, Alien and Predator,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody was reading it.
Nope.
Except for the people who did read it and they loved it, but it wasn't like a mass appeal.
It was a very small demographic.
But what IDW did was make people care about Transformers, and I can say that like I said at the very beginning, my nostalgia brought me back to it, but it was the quality of the storytelling that kept me in. Hasbro ended up unloading all of their properties onto IDW.
Oh,
so
what else?
IDW had Transformers, G.I. Joe, Gem and the Holograms,
ROM.
They had a bunch of stuff, and they actually explained around the time Transformers Lost Light became Lost Light. They explained that G.I. Joe existed with the Transformers. That Gem and the Holograms were a band that you could listen to while you were waiting for Optimus Prime to come pick you up.
So they merged all these universes.
Everything was huge, like all interconnected, and they were. And GI Joe would even explain why they had never mentioned Transformers before, because they're like, well, it's a thing, but that was over there, and we had to worry about Cobra. Not some alien robots. So we let the military side of things that you see in Transformers handle that, while we're searching for Cobra.
Okay.
And then Unicron showed up, and everything went nuts.
Yeah.
And they used Unicron to kind of end the continuity for G.I. Joe, which had gotten away from its core, Transformers, which had gotten away from its core, Gem and the Holograms, which nobody was reading, Mask, which had been integrated.
Oh, Mask, okay.
Mask was actually, they were using reverse engineered Transformers tech to build their cars. And then when they brought down Miles Mayhem, Mask was absorbed into G.I. Joe.
Okay.
And it made a lot of sense, but it was away from those properties.
Sure.
And ending everything. You see how I'm bringing it all together?
Yeah,
I'm
good job.
good at this. Bringing in Unicron, who had never been mentioned. Unicron in Transformers lore is the devil.
Yes.
And Primus is God.
Yes.
Basically, as analogs in the Transformers lore. In the 13 years of continuity, they would always talk about Primus and Primus's other. They would never, ever mention Unicron. Mention his name. And then IDW did a crossover 2 years ago called First Strike. And that's where they brought in Mask. That's where they brought in G.I. Joe and Transformers. They all had to work together. And the very, very end of it, they were saying something is coming to Earth, and its name is, you turn the page, it says Unicron, and it's just this giant planet-destroying beast.
Yes.
Unicron was the villain from the original 80s movie, Orson Welles' final performance.
Yes.
It's super cool. So they used that as a catalyst to bring an end to the Hasbro line. Spoilers, Unicron didn't destroy Earth.
Okay.
Like, they were successful, but it brought about a way to say, look at that. We're done.
Okay.
And it was so well constructed, so well crafted, which again brings me back to my earlier point. I'm super excited. Now that the reset button's been hit, we're going to go in.
Where we're going to go now.
Yeah, it literally can do anything.
Yeah, well, those guys at IDW, I'm sure 99% of them were fans of the figures and the comics and the cartoons back in the 80s and 90s. So these guys are actually doing it's a love project for them, a passion project. There we go.
Absolutely. I will say I don't know the writer and I don't know the artist for Transformers #1 that comes out in March. And that's not a slight to them. I've looked them up. They've done nothing.
Really?
They've done nothing, and that actually kind of makes me excited. Some of my favorite Transformers artists from the past 13 years are doing variant covers for the new Transformers line, just to kind of say, to kind of give their blessing,
their stamp of approval,
and pass the torch.
Okay.
But I will say, I am very excited. I'm going to give this book 12 months.
Okay.
I'm expecting it. Usually with a new book, I'll try to give it 3 or 4 issues. I'm going to give this one 12, unless it's absolute garbage right out the gate.
Okay.
I don't expect that it's going to, but I do expect a certain quality of storytelling based on what I know from IDW as a publisher.
Sure.
Based on their original output. I'm not expecting this to be like a kid's comic where we're going to introduce a conflict and then have it resolved immediately. I feel like we're going to need 4 or 5 issues to really get to the guts and then let it exist. So I'm really excited to try it out. I'm very willing to give it room to breathe because, like I said, I don't know the writer, I don't know the artist, but I'm excited to get to know them.
Well, yeah, I would think if they're hitting the reset button, like you said, getting new writers, new artists, it gives them a huge opportunity to kind of take the story and the characters wherever they want.
I would hate to be those people. I would not. Well, I would not want to follow.
The pressure is going to be.
Oh my gosh!
The bar has been raised.
I give them nothing but respect, and I apologize for not knowing. I'd love to be able to be okay. Well, it's these guys clearly, but I don't offhand know their names. But if you and I talk next year, I'll be more than happy to tell you my feelings on what they brought to the table. So it's very exciting.
And those guys that are doing it, like I said, it's a passion project for them. And since it is new, I think, again, the bar has been raised, but they can do some things that maybe we've never seen before. And or do you think they'll introduce some new characters that they haven't seen or have?
Oh, they have to. They would have to.
I would think so. Or at least take, like you said, Ultra Magnus is going to be a little different maybe.
Maybe he'll be exactly the same. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
What's interesting is, let's say Windblade, right? So for people who don't know, Windblade was a fan-created Transformer.
Okay.
Hasbro had a contest, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. And they're like, what do you want to see? You want to see a jet. You want to see that jet and it's an Autobot. You want to see that jet that's an Autobot and is a female. You want to see a jet that's an Autobot that's a female that's red.
Really?
What do you want her name to be? And it was fan-voted.
They did. So that's awesome.
And they introduced Windblade into the comics, and she is from a different world that's part of the Cybertronian galaxy or the Federation of Planets, but the Cybertronian Federation.
Okay.
With this brand new Transformers #1, she's on Cybertron. So already she's different. She looks the same. I mean, it's Windblade. It's Windblade interacting with Optimus. It's Windblade, on Cybertron during the war, which is something this character and her minuscule time of existing has never been. And just as a microcosm for what could be coming, I find that incredibly interesting because already it's a character I love, I have affection for because of what IDW did to this brand new character and actually made me care about her. Now, how do you take what makes Windblade and also fundamentally change the structure of her existing?
I like the fact that they did that fan character make because they did that with Motu, Master Universe 2, way back.
Absolutely.
I think it was Photon or whatever was the name of the character that they created way back in the 80s. So that's awesome that they did that.
Fun side note, Jeff Johns over at DC, when he was a kid, he created his own Masters of the Universe fan character, basically.
Okay.
DC, when they got the rights to Masters of the Universe, Jeff Johns had the opportunity to take this character he created when he was in elementary school. And he actually wrote a comic and got, I almost want to say Jim Lee drew it. I could be wrong, but it's a digital first comic that is this character that he created when he was a little kid. As an adult, got to make it part of the DC Masters of the Universe thing, and it's super
That's
fun.
Awesome. So all this time it's been sitting in a box someplace, and he pulls it out, and I actually get to put this in there.
It's super fun.
But I'm glad that they actually, because that Motu creation they did in the 80s, it didn't go anywhere. I think they made one for the kid, and that was it. But this one, it sounds like made it in the comic book, and they made a figure, right?
I don't know.
Actually, okay.
I'm not a Masters of the Universe expert.
No, I'm sorry. The Transformer.
Windblade exists.
Yeah, has a figure, has a comic book.
Yeah, she had her own. She actually had the third Transformers comic for a while.
Okay.
And blah blah blah. Bumblebee. She by the end of Unicron, she was the ruler of Cybertron.
Okay.
And she's not from Cybertron. She's from Kamina. But which is a whole planet filled with lady versions of Transformers.
Okay.
But she went from being she was like a translator for Titans like Metroplex or whatever. I can go on and on. But she ended up being the elected ruler of Cybertron, and it was really cool to see her go from a character that didn't exist to being such a linchpin. She's even in the new Cyberverse cartoon.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. So a popularity of a fan-made figure is all over the place. That's interesting.
Hasbro's going all out. They actually have been doing polls for the new Masterpiece line of figures. Like, who do you want to see most? And Hasbro has gone out of their way to make it at least appear that they're listening to their fans.
Do you think that's a shift in Hasbro? Because you've been obviously a fan of Hasbro for years.
I don't know if it's a shift. It's a take that I wish other companies would make.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say what Hasbro used to do or didn't do, but I think Hasbro has gone from just being like that company that makes kids toys,
sure,
to being a company that interacts with its fans and at least gives the appearance of caring and making good on what they're saying.
Sure.
So if anything else, they have an image that I admire.
They're cashing in on the nostalgia, which is fine.
Oh, you absolutely, totally fine.
They're doing it, I think, with their finger on the pulse of the fans.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, we're just going to release these classic Transformers and you're going to buy them.
Well, there's a new line of figures that are out right now, and the fans have not warmed up to them.
Okay.
At all. And then Hasbro announced that for 2019 they're revamping that line.
Okay.
And it really does feel like they're taking criticism and praise appropriately and adapting it to what the fans are asking for or what the fans are saying. And I could be completely wrong. Maybe Hasbro is like a terrible, evil corporation, and I have no idea. I don't want somebody to be like, well, actually, Hasbro is blah, blah, blah. They kick puppies. I don't know.
It's like, I don't know that. Do they have, I don't know because I don't buy them anymore, but do they have more, they've got I guess for the older guys like us that kind of like the more complicated figures, do they have a more kid-friendly line of figures?
They actually they just released a line of these mini bots called BotBots.
Okay.
And Taylor, my coworker, she actually has a whole bunch of them. So you'll get one that looks like a pineapple, but then you like pull out its little arms, pull down its feet, flip down the little face panel, and this little dude. And that's definitely marketed towards people like Taylor or little kids.
Yeah, so I was wondering, when we were 8 years old, 9 years old, is there figures out there that would appeal to them?
Right now, they have the Transformers Cyberverse, which is based on a cartoon I've never seen.
Okay,
I've
heard of it.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've never seen it. But those are definitely geared towards, I would say 6 to 12.
Okay,
and then they also have like the Studio series, which is based on the movies. And those are geared a little bit older because they got a lot of moving pieces on them.
Yeah.
There's always the Masterpiece line, and that's for people like me who are nuts and have a ton of disposable income because we're single ladies.
Yeah.
And then there's also like the new War for Cybertron Siege, which I would say is the main Transformers line right now. And it's all cyber. It's based on the Cybertronian mode. So in the 80s cartoon, remember when Starscream transformed into like that triangular thing?
Yeah.
They're putting out a toy of that for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Like within the next couple of months.
Yeah. Wow, that's a real throwback to some obscure
absolutely.
Feature in the cartoon. Huh.
Yeah,
interesting.
Going back to what we said earlier about the budgets of like where did Prime's trailer go? Every time they did a flashback on Cybertron, if you saw Starscream, he would look like Starscream looks now, like as a jet, but in like a robot mode. But on Cybertron, when they would transform, he wouldn't be a jet. He'd turn into like this canonical spaceship.
Yeah, it was like a Battlestar Galactica type.
Yeah, like a little fighter or something, like a snub fighter.
It was really weird.
But yeah, they're bringing out a Starscream figure who looks like you think Starscream should look, but he transforms into exactly what that looked like in the cartoon. And it's super fun.
Here's a question for you. Sure. I remember on the cartoon, Starscream was always trying to stab Megatron in the back constantly. Is the comic book somewhat like that?
Oh, man.
I could probably really get you going on that.
But it's fine.
I always thought that was fun.
One of the interesting things early in the IDW run, Starscream constantly is always trying to usurp Megatron. But at one point, Megatron puts his arm on Starscream and says, look, you're going to lead the Decepticons one day. It's going to happen.
Okay.
You need to stop trying to force it and find your potential and reach it. He's like, you're going to overthrow me. It's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. Maybe you need to chill out for just a second, put all your ducks in a row, and then just do it.
Ooh.
And then post-war Cybertron, Starscream, I was talking about Dark Cybertron earlier.
Yeah.
One of the things from Dark Cybertron is the prophecy of who will lead Cybertron.
Okay.
Starscream manipulated it a little bit, and for a while he was the ruler of Cybertron.
Okay, so he finally got it.
He finally got it. And then one of my very favorite things happened is, what do you do if you're a villain and you're looking for power? What happens when you get that power, and what do you do with it? And it's really, really cool. He gets haunted by the ghost of Bumblebee, which may or may not actually be a ghost. He's dealing with trying to tell the truth and actually wanting to be a good leader, but also being Starscream. And
so they kind of keep his character traits from the cartoon in the comic book.
Oh, it's so great. I can't even express how... You mentioned Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica, the Transformers book that wasn't taking place on the Lost Light, it was set on Cybertron, and it was very much like Battlestar Galactica, where you have just these people who are splintered. They don't have their identity anymore. They're trying to be like, well, what do we do now? By the end of Battlestar Galactica, minor spoilers, the humans and the Cylons have to work together. In this, the Autobots and Decepticons have to work together also with everybody who wasn't an Autobot or a Decepticon who's come back to Cybertron now that it's up and running.
Sure.
And it's just, it's a political mess. And it shouldn't work as a comic. It shouldn't work as a Transformers comic.
Who wants to read about politics?
Exactly. And it turns out to be like the most engaging, the most interesting thing. I honestly, one of the things I had a buddy of mine tell me is that good sci-fi needs to reflect current trends.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
I'm not gonna make any political statements or anything. Don't worry. But what Transformers manages to do is to give us perspective on current issues that we might be facing and how we can approach it from a different angle. Lost Light, More Than Meets the Eye, had brought in the concept of homosexual marriage in a Transformers comic.
Interesting.
Robots in Disguise, Transformers ended up being called Optimus Prime, dealt with autism. Soundwave turns out has the Cybertronian version of autism. And how do you get into his head and think of how he thinks? He still identifies as a Decepticon, but he also ends up being Optimus Prime's right-hand man.
Oh, okay.
And what does that mean? And how do we take somebody we were at war with yesterday, and now we have to work with them? And what does that mean? And how do you handle that? I'm a war veteran.
Sure.
And that's not to brag or anything, but I find something like that inherently interesting, because here we were literally fighting with them yesterday, and now that's over with. We have to kind of put that behind us and find our common ground and move forward. And you don't find something like that in Justice League or Avengers, or if you do, it's a tiny little piece of it.
Sure.
And Transformers is like, we're going to double down on it, and we're going to make you think and make you love these characters. Yeah. I loved Megatron. By the time that came to an end, Megatron.
Wow. That's how good the story writing was.
That's how good it was. It's so good. And Soundwave, understanding where he's coming from, he deals with radio waves.
Okay.
Soundwave can hear everybody's thoughts all the time.
Ooh. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he didn't know that other people don't do that. He had no concept for it, and he doesn't understand emotions. He doesn't know how to process things the way like Hot Rod or Bumblebee or Starscream even would process things. So to him, he watches people have these emotional reactions, and he's like, I don't get it. Yeah. I hear what they're saying. I know why they're acting that way, but I can't put that together. That's not how I would. Yeah.
Good analogy of autism. It's
super, and I don't want to be, I'm not an expert on autism.
No, I'm not either, but
I don't want to make a statement, but the way I understand autism, which is limited at best.
It has some similarities.
There's definitely similarities in that. And I it's so good.
Well, the fact that if you look at the history of the Transformers, they've been fighting a war for millions of years.
One of the things Optimus Prime says when he gives up being Optimus and goes to Orion Pax for a little bit, he said, for a species that's bent on changing, we don't know how to adapt.
Yeah.
And it's super smart, and that's so applicable. I'm sorry to be like, oh, well, blah, 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 if you look at it this way. Like, no. It's just kind of interesting to see, like, if you're fundamentally a race of people that are supposed to change and adapt, but you've been locked in a war for literal millions of years, and you can't change out of your routine.
Sure.
And I don't know, it's fun.
I think it's a good commentary on humans as well, too, though. that we don't like change. we all have that, and so I think it's a good analogy, and that's why we probably can relate.
Oh yeah,
to that storyline.
Good on them. I love it.
Good, cool. Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. We better put a pin in this one because otherwise we could probably just keep going forever. Especially you talk about Orion packs and all that. I know there's a whole history behind that as well that you could probably spend another hour talking about.
Honestly, if anybody wants more information, come to the store and see me. We're here in Lincoln, Nebraska. We're at 1501 Pine Lake Road. We're right in between Juice Stop and the Nail Place. So definitely, come on down, hang out. I do have a book in stock right now called The Transformers Historia. It covers all of IDW's history for Transformers, and it's super great. It's written by a guy named Chris McFeely. He has a YouTube channel called Transformers: The Basics. And if we could put a link to that, I'd appreciate it.
Definitely.
That's where I get a lot of my information on stuff I've forgotten. Because there's a lot of it.
There's a lot of history there.
But yeah, Transformers Historia, I've got it here in the store. It covers super broad strokes everything that happened in the 13 years for IDW. I'm going to, by March 1st, I'll have the entire run of More Than Meets the Eye going into Lost Light. So if people are curious at all about any of the stuff I've been talking about, come hang out, come talk to me.
Yes.
Look everything up on YouTube. If you don't want to come talk to me, that's absolutely fine. But dig into this stuff, man. It's so good.
No, I appreciate the knowledge and the passion that you have for this. And let's see, is it rainbowcomics.com is the website too?
Rainbowcomicsandcards.com will take you to our South Dakota store.
Okay.
So our whole stock for our South Dakota store is up there. If you want to find our store, if you just go on Facebook and look for Rainbow Comics Lincoln, that's where Taylor and I hang out all day long.
Okay.
If you send us a message, most of the time it'll be me responding. Sometimes it'll be Taylor.
Okay.
Very rarely you'll get Dave, who's the owner.
Okay.
But most of the time, if you want to interact with our store specifically, Facebook is the best place for that.
Good. Yeah. Give them a call. Go to the Facebook page. Get all your information.
If they wanted to call us, they could. It's at 402-975-8332.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put all this in the show notes so that you guys can get a hold of them if you want to talk Transformers or comics in general.
In general, man. Like Transformers, I love my three biggest loves: Transformers, Star Wars, comics.
Ooh, okay.
And then any kind of a Venn diagram in the middle, like I've got you covered.
Awesome. Maybe we'll have to do a Star Wars one too. That's always fun to talk about. So, okay. Well, cool. Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate the time you've given us. And definitely stop by the store. He's got his favorite Transformers up here on the shelf. And
yes, I do.
Always room for more.
Absolutely. It's a rotating cast.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you have it. I hope you enjoyed listening to Tim as I did recording it. It was a blast. And like we talked about, we hope we can talk to him again about other topics, not necessarily Transformers, even though I know we could probably spend another hour just talking Transformers. It was a good time. Please go to covertnerd.net for all the ways that you can get in touch with Tim at Rainbow Comics, social media, and all the other links that we talked about in the episode. So thanks for listening, and until next time, nerd it up.